Have you ever agreed to help someone for just one day, only to discover that one act of kindness would change both of your lives forever? Sometimes the people who seem the strongest are carrying the heaviest burdens. Sometimes a simple favor becomes the beginning of hope, healing, and a family brought back together. This story begins with a strange request from a roommate. It sounded impossible, even a little embarrassing. But what happened next revealed a truth that no one in that room was prepared to hear. Stay with me until the end, because this story proves that kindness often arrives in the most unexpected moments. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Story. If you enjoy heartwarming stories that remind us there is still good in the world, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories every week. I had been living with my roommate, Emma, for almost a year. We weren't best friends, but we respected each other. We split the rent, shared groceries, and helped each other through busy workdays. She was always smiling around other people, but late at night I often heard her crying quietly in her room. One Friday evening, she knocked on my bedroom door. Her hands were shaking, and her eyes were filled with tears. "I need to ask you something crazy," she said. I nodded. "My family thinks I'm engaged. They expect me to bring my fiancé to my grandmother's birthday tomorrow. If I show up alone, my grandmother's heart will be broken. Please, will you pretend to be my fiancé for just one day?" I stared at her for a moment. It sounded unbelievable. But I could see genuine fear in her face. I finally smiled and said, "If it helps your grandmother, I'll do it." The next afternoon we drove to her hometown. Her family welcomed us with hugs, laughter, and homemade food. Her grandmother looked at me with tears in her eyes. "So you're the young man who makes my granddaughter smile." I smiled back, feeling guilty for the lie. As the evening continued, everyone laughed together. Then Emma quietly leaned toward me and whispered, "Please, kiss me like you mean it." I froze for a second. Then I realized why she had asked. Several relatives were watching us closely, already questioning whether our engagement was real. Instead of making the moment dramatic, I simply gave her a brief, respectful kiss on the forehead and gently held her hand. The room relaxed immediately. Her grandmother smiled with relief, and everyone returned to the celebration. Later that night, Emma thanked me. "You didn't make it uncomfortable," she said softly. "You protected my dignity." I answered, "Kindness doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes it just means helping someone through a difficult day." As we prepared to leave, her grandmother asked if we could stay a little longer. She invited us into her bedroom. With trembling hands, she opened an old wooden box filled with letters and photographs. "I know you two aren't really engaged," she said with a gentle smile. Emma's face turned pale. "You knew?" Her grandmother laughed quietly. "My dear, I've lived for 82 years. I know when someone is pretending." Emma burst into tears. "I'm sorry, Grandma." "There is nothing to apologize for," her grandmother replied. "I only wanted to see you happy one more time." She explained that she had recently been diagnosed with a serious illness. She didn't know how much time she had left. "I wasn't hoping for a wedding," she whispered. "I was hoping to know my granddaughter wasn't facing life alone." Emma fell into her grandmother's arms, crying harder than ever before. Watching them together broke my heart. Over the next several weeks, something unexpected happened. Our fake relationship ended, but our friendship became stronger. Emma spent every weekend caring for her grandmother. Without asking, I started helping too. I drove them to doctor appointments. I fixed broken shelves around the house. I cooked meals whenever Emma was exhausted. Sometimes kindness wasn't about saying the perfect words. Sometimes it meant carrying grocery bags, mowing the lawn, or simply sitting quietly beside someone who was afraid. Her grandmother often smiled at me. You remind me that good people still exist, she said. Those words stayed with me. One snowy afternoon, we organized a neighborhood meal for elderly people who lived alone. Friends donated food. Local businesses offered desserts. Children made handmade cards. People who had never spoken before became friends around long dinner tables. Emma looked around the room with tears in her eyes. This all started because you said yes to helping me. I shook my head. No. It started because your grandmother taught us that kindness grows when it's shared. Months later, her grandmother peacefully passed away. At the memorial service, dozens of neighbors came to pay their respects. Many shared stories that none of us had ever heard. She had secretly paid utility bills for struggling families. She had delivered food to sick neighbors without telling anyone. She had spent years quietly helping strangers. Her kindness had touched countless lives. After the service, Emma handed me one final letter from her grandmother. It read, "Life isn't measured by how many people admire you. It's measured by how many people feel loved because you were here." Neither of us could hold back our tears. That letter changed how I lived. I started volunteering more often. Emma created a community program to help older adults with shopping and transportation. Neighbors who barely knew each other began checking in on one another. A single act of compassion had spread further than any of us imagined. Looking back, I realized something important. I thought I was pretending to help someone for one afternoon. Instead, I learned what real kindness looks like. It asks for nothing in return. It protects people when they feel vulnerable. It gives hope when life feels uncertain. It reminds us that even small actions can leave lasting footprints in someone else's heart. If this story touched you, remember this simple truth. You never know what battle another person is fighting behind their smile. A gentle word, a helping hand, or simply showing up when someone needs you can change a life forever. Be the reason someone believes that kindness still exists. Because in the end, kindness is the greatest gift we can ever give, and the greatest legacy we can ever leave behind.